Good morning.
All right, thank you guys so much for being here. I am checking my getting emails. This seems like this Monday coming up to the end of the year is literally crazy for everybody. I am getting messages, I'm sorry, from our board members who are stuck literally in meetings. Janice, hold on. Janice is just sending me something. She's in a meeting that's running over. Okay. So we will carry on with those of us that are here. Thank you guys. I know this is a busy day for everybody. I know some of you ended up rescheduling some meetings as you'll see in the agenda that we sent out, we typically have 4 meetings a year. 2 of those will be public. This was an extra meeting that was scheduled so that we could just allow another opportunity for the public to join us. The information that we will be going over is information that you guys received at a later time, at an earlier date, but we've just not had time to come together and talk about it. We've got some information I'm excited to share, and just to kind of catch up on what our responsibilities are as a BAC to St. Louis County and to the MWBE community. So let me see. Hold on, I'm getting one more message. Let me see who this one is from. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's another who won't be able to make it. Okay, let us go ahead and start with our agenda. And so we can officially call this meeting to order. And I will head the meeting today in John's absence. And then Simone, as you are here, can I ask you to do roll call?
Trying to get the list of names right now.
No worries. Here's what, okay, here's what I can do. So Simone, since if you don't have it, that's fine. Here's what I can do. I know I saw Nguyen. Good morning, Nguyen. Great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
And I know I saw Ronnie Griffin. I thought I saw Ronnie Griffin. Ronnie, my screen isn't here, but if you're here, just say present.
All right, good. Thank you.
Great, there you go. And I don't know that I saw any other board members, BAC committee members.
Oh, this is Mike Newton. I'm on here.
Ah, thanks, Mike. Thank you for being here. Okay, so I know, so we have Nguyen, Mike, and then Ronnie. And then the rest, I believe, are county members. And then just for minutes, if we could, for St. Louis County members, if you are here, Simone Rainey, I see if you'll take those notes for me. Nathaniel Adams, I know I heard you.
Yes.
Gina Montgomery.
Present.
Awesome. Stephanie Streeter, I thought I saw you here.
Yes, present.
Thank you. And then Genevieve. You're here, Genevieve Frank. Thank you. Thank you guys all for being here. And so that Nguyen and Ronnie and Mike, so you guys know, St. Louis County has a number of conflicting meetings this morning. And so even from internally, I've gotten a lot of last minute messages that people were having to kind of divide and conquer to go to meetings. And so while we can't take any votes today, I definitely want to share with you guys some important things that are happening in and around the county, just so you guys can stay updated, and then talk about what some of the things that we can look towards in 2022 and hope to accomplish. Okay. So I don't have a change. We are in the midst of an IT change. So unfortunately, I don't even have the notes from our last minute meeting. Once that changeover happens, hopefully I'll be able to send those out. But I underwent my own change internally, and they are working to get me the information from my old subheadings. Under new business, we have the disparity study and the rebidding of projects. I want to update you guys on what's going on where that's concerned. So the disparity study piece, we can't talk a whole lot in detail about, but I can absolutely make you aware of what's happening, something that I'm kind of excited about. St. Louis County and St. Louis City, by ordinance and laws, are due to do updated disparity studies. It's supposed to be within every 5 years. Both St. Louis City and County, unfortunately, were behind on the last dates that we were supposed to get the studies done. However, what we've been able to do is something that we've not done before. And so what you will find in the beginning of January, St. Louis City and St. Louis County have an RFP out right now where we're actually going to do a joint study. Which we're excited about. The due date for those RFPs, if you know of any companies that you think may want to bid for that or to enter into that, their interest into having that contract, the dates are January 11th that's due. And they can find that information on the St. Louis County website as well with our RFP. So I'm very excited about that because St. Louis County and St. Louis City has never come together for a disparity study of any kind. And so we are looking forward to being able to collaborate on who's doing that work and then the information that we're all looking to together. I think that in the past, some of the challenges that we ran into was finding that different organizations were being utilized for information for St. Louis County than for St. Louis City. And so there wasn't a unifying of the information that's being shared. There were some that thought maybe because of that, the information was skewed or we just didn't have a good total look. And so we're excited that this time all the information being shared will account for St. Louis City and St. Louis County alike. And hopefully the goal would be for us to get a more detailed uniform study where that's concerned. So you guys can look forward to that. And as stated, if you have any organizations that you're aware of that want to bid on that, please make them aware that that information is out and we're looking forward to that. Do either of you have any questions on that information?
When is, you said the January 11th is when the RFP is due, correct?
Mhm.
When
Mhm,
is the
response is
study,
due.
when is the study supposed to be completed?
Completed? Well, I'm assuming, Nguyen, that's a great question. So if we get the studies back 11, I'm assuming they should be able to move forward in by March, best case scenario. And then you figure best case scenario, they would be able to move forward and start by March. And then you figure a study of this magnitude is going to take 12 months at least, 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Let's talk about the rebidding projects. Rebidding projects. So there've been a lot of the MWBE questions, just wanting to understand projects that have been in line a minute for St. Louis County. Some have had to be rebid, and I want to make sure that for the BAC committee, you guys are clear as to the rules and regs that we're following, as to why those things are happening, just in case you run across any conversations of minority businesses or even majority businesses that want to understand what the process is, why these things are happening, and then I want us to discuss as a group what we are doing as a county to help make these things get better. And then if you guys have any suggestions, would love to hear those also. Nate, would you take a minute and just talk through the projects that have gone out for rebid, I guess, in 2021, so that we can talk through those?
Sure, Ms. Vita. So far, there have been 4 major projects that we turned around out of the MWBE office. And those were Spanish Pond, Police Precincts 1 and 3, along with Greensfelder. Greensfelder, well, let's start with the Spanish Pond. That was the first one we turned around. The goal wasn't met, 24% MBE goal and 9.5% WBE goal, plus good faith efforts were not met on those projects, on that particular project. Cosney Wagner was the lowest bidder on it, and he did not meet the good faith effort part, nor did Gershenson, who was the second low. They didn't meet the good faith effort parts either. So we put that back out. Cosney wound up getting it done on the second bid. They were able to meet the goal of 24.5, and they made good faith effort. Just so you know, if you meet the goal, you really don't have to show your good faith effort. If you don't meet the goal, then your good faith efforts take over. And if you've only maybe sent out some emails, you never followed up, you didn't properly advertise, and those type things, then that's considered to be not good faith. So Spanish Pond was turned around and rebid, and it was eventually awarded to Cosney Wagner. Then there came Greensfelder. Greensfelder is a rehabbing the recreational center out at Queenie Park. It's called Greensfelder Rec Center out in Manchester area, Baldwin. And that job came in also short of the goal, and it had to be rebid. The first bidder on that was KNS. They wound up coming in the second time, well over the goal. We'll see how that washes out, but they came in with 30%, I believe, MBE and approximately 12% WBE. So they were awarded the job the second go round. Then there were the Police Precincts 1 and 3. Police Precinct 1 had 3 bidders. Hankins was the as-read low. The second low was Wright Construction. And the third low was KNS. None of those firms met the goal, nor did they employ good faith efforts to attempt to get the goal. Some of them sent out and sent this documentation to us that they sent out well over one case it was 300 emails with no follow-up phone call. We don't know if the people they emailed the documents to got them. They didn't follow the rules of engagement as it relates to what we accept with St. Louis County. And just so you'll know, You might want to write it down for your constituents. The St. Louis County MWB program only accepts Lambert, St. Louis International Airport Authority certification, and MoDOT, that's the Missouri Department of Transportation. We do not accept the State of Missouri Department of Administration. That doesn't count. It states that in all of our bid documents, all of our program documents, it tells all bidders that we only accept those two certifications. Nothing more. And some of them sent some of the other certifications in, which we don't allow, so you have to kick those out. They think they made a good faith effort because they had them in. Well, you didn't. One of the contractors wound up getting very close on precinct number 3. He came in at 22.3% MBE, and I believe it was 11% WBE. Well, he thought that he had made good faith effort because he did the same thing, sent out a lot of emails. But what he didn't do is contact anyone. He didn't properly advertise, meaning he didn't run ads and say St. Louis American, Argus, or any other minority publication. He did not contact any firms. He did not try to negotiate with any of the MBE contractors. So all of that is in that documentation is included in the bid solicitation and is also included in the contract documents. Had he contacted maybe one MWBE, he probably would have gotten the job. He missed he bid at 9.7 million on precinct 3. And
So Nate,
yes,
Nate, let's do this. Let's give the overarching as opposed to so much of the deep diving detail, because I think I definitely want to make sure that we give the info so the council will know how to move forward from this meeting and be able to just share what kinds of things have to happen. And if we dive too deep into the weeds, then that might not allow us to be as helpful on how to solve this issue.
well, biggest issue is that most of the contractors take the MWBE program very lightly. They don't read the bid docs. They wait till the last minute to prepare their MWBE utilization plan, which states what minorities they're going to use. And in doing so, they don't do what she just said. They don't read the details. They'll submit constantly people that are not accepted by Lambert or MoDOT. Therefore, they get kicked out. They'll send in people that don't have the NAICS code to perform their work. To make it simple, a drywaller can't do plumbing and vice versa. You have codes what you're certified in and work you have to perform. And if they're not listed as that, they can say they do that, and they may very well do, may be very proficient at it. But if they don't have the NAICS code, then they can't do it. Another one is some of them wanted to use a dual connotation, meaning a minority female. She can only be used as one or the other. All of this is documented. You can't use them for both. And so for those reasons, we've had to turn those 2 precincts around. The gentleman who gave away to non-eligible $2.5 million to non-eligible firms they wound up missing the job by 176,000. So we're going to put those back out for bid, hopefully prior to Christmas. And we're going to probably expect a bid solicitation sometime in January. And hopefully they will meet the goal this time and employ good faith efforts. Ms. Montgomery will probably go over some of the things that we've done as far as outreach goes. And we can go from there. That's all I have.
I want to interrupt, but basically the easy and quick and dirty explanation is we put out the bids. We had goals and we told them that they either meet the goals or make good faith efforts. Basically, nobody did. Okay. So it was a lesson in what exactly are good faith efforts. And so simply addressing the national industry codes, those are the NICS codes. People register with us under certain NICS codes. And simply saying, okay, I'm going to send a note out, that's nice, but it's only the beginning of a good faith effort. Hopefully, by rejecting them, even the ones that were close, because they didn't just take that extra step of maybe making a couple follow-up calls or emails, next go around, people are starting to be aware that we're actually going to enforce it. That's sort of the short overview of it. And Nate, went into great detail in the analysis of each one of their efforts, but that's basically what ended up happening.
If I may, Mr. Brown, I'm quite thankful. I was very interested in everything.
Ronnie, you're not coming through clear for some reason, so we can hear that you're talking, but the words aren't coming through.
My apologies. I have been having trouble with my audio. Is this any better?
No, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I can write it in the Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, if you, it sounds like you said you'll write it you'll write it. If that's what you said, you write it and then we'll read it. Are you speaking directly into your computer or into a headset?
Well, I'm on a computer. I've had audio issues before with this, so let me write it.
Okay. I hate to hear that. Okay, if you write, then we'll come back to that. Just as a reminder, our chime-inner, if I can use that, was Greg Tater. Greg is the director of our procurement. So Greg, thank you for that as well. And thank you for tuning in to the meeting because I know you have a busy schedule today also.
I like that word.
Yes. Gina Montgomery, if we can go to you because Nate absolutely kind of spelled out for us, thankfully, what, the bids that have had to be, the projects that have had to be rebid. And Ronnie Nguyen and Michael, I think that it's important that you guys are aware of those because that also is something that comes up as a challenge in our county council meetings and in community because public wants to understand when we're rebidding projects, what's causing it to happen. And I think you guys need to understand what the processes are that the office will follow, the team will follow, and then why those things are happening so that you can understand that as well. Gina, before you talk about, Gina Montgomery, just as a reminder, is the manager of compliance for the MWBE program. Gina, before you talk about the projects that we are working on or have worked on for 2021, or even if you want to then share anything that's coming up that you think would be prevalent for 2022, can you just talk through some of the networking or some of the things that have been done to kind of alleviate the having to rebid? What type of outreach is going on right now with the team?
Sure. We have been pretty busy this last couple months in doing and making sure that our outreach efforts are acceptable. And so we have done two in the past couple months. So our first Connecting with the Prime was very, very successful. We got a lot of good feedback with that. And basically that was just bringing our primes that are working on our projects and the subcontractors or the MWB community together. That happened, I believe, about 5 weeks ago. And it was busy all day, which we love to see. The contractors loved it. They mentioned to us that this is a first for the county, and that they really enjoyed connecting with the MW community. So it was very, very successful. We also had one that strictly kind of pointed toward the police precincts that are coming up. And we kind of targeted the ones that were interested in bidding on the project. We had 5 primes up here. We did have some that weren't able to make it, but 5 primes were present, and we had probably over 25 MWBs come and directly connect with those primes that were going on the project, on the police precinct projects. So that's encouraging, because in the past, we've heard that they haven't had an opportunity to have a chance to sit one-on-one with the primes. So this was actually a really big step. And it was a really successful event as well. We had a lot of good feedback from that as well. So I'm just really kind of happy with what we did with those 2. And they're asking for more. So that's always a good sign that they want us to do more connecting type events. So those are the 2 big ones that we've done. We are going to have a winter workshop starting in January. We are designing that right now. I know we are in the process as of today of doing one around January 20th. So stay tuned for that. And then we will have concurrent ones after that. So those are the 2 big ones that were very successful. We're very happy with that. That's a good start. And then we will have our winter workshops coming up here in 2022.
Jana, let me ask, when you have any kind of flyer, when your team has any kind of flyer for that January 20th workshop, can we make sure to get it to the BAs, to the
Sure.
council, to the committee, so that
Absolutely.
they can share it with their networks as well? So that'd
Absolutely.
be awesome.
Absolutely. When we get all the details in place, we most definitely will.
Okay. Can we talk about, just for them to understand, any projects that are worth sharing for 2021 that we've done, and then what we're looking towards for 2022 that we're aware of?
2022, I'll start with that, is looking very promising. I know that we have our meetings with transportation, and there's a lot of projects coming up. I think with the new infrastructure money, we're crossing our fingers that, that comes through successfully. So there's going to be quite a few projects. I can't really tell you what exactly all they are. I know Mr. Kalesa has a list of them, and we're very kind of excited about that, because, it's going to be, it means work for everybody on both sides, the primes and the MWs. So we're very excited about that. So that's upcoming for 2022. A lot of federal money. So I'm excited about that. Currently, we have Greensfelder at Queenie Park that's going on right now. We are trudging through that, making sure the compliance is good on that. So that is one project. That's our biggest project right now. We also have some pavement rehabilitations that are going on, so some street improvements that we have. And basically, that's what we're going on right now. We're closing out a lot of projects. So we're looking forward to those new projects starting. But Greensfelder is probably the biggest one we have right now. And that's going to be exciting when that's done.
Good deal. I know Stephanie Streeter, I know you're here, and thank you for coming. Did you have anything that you wanted to share? I know Joe is off today. Did you have anything, Stephanie, that you wanted to share in terms of just information on projects for the council to be aware of?
Not specifically. I know that Nate had mentioned the police precinct project, and that obviously is, a focus of ours. We'd like to get into construction next year and use the funding, at least that's been identified. Don't want to risk that. As Gina said, there's a lot of opportunity on the transportation side. Exactly what happens, though, with the infrastructure bill remains to be seen in terms of what money comes to the state and how any of it is allocated to the locals, and how we have to coordinate with the state and other federal rules to leverage that money. So there's still more to decipher But we're always, very excited to advance any project that we can because we have a ton of needs, both on the facility side, the vertical infrastructure, and the horizontal infrastructure side. So obviously utilize minority business participation in our projects is, in the foremost part of our minds, because we want to engage, everybody in that way to take advantage of all the good work that we really need to get done. But specific projects and their dates and things like that, I don't have that information with me. So, but we will continue to work with Nate's group and Vita and all of you and everybody that we need to in order to advance as much as we can.
Great deal. Thank you. And you guys are doing a great job of that. So thank you so much, Stephanie. I see Ronnie's question. Before we have Nate answer, Genevieve, I really want you to ring in because I want to make sure. I don't know when we get to share detail and when we don't. So can you ring in and help me with this? Because I want to make sure that we don't do anything on our, and I know this is a county council, a committee, but I don't know what details we are to share. So Genevieve, will you kind of ring in on that first for me?
Okay. And when you say details to share,
so
let me do one thing first. Let me say, if someone is having technical difficulties and therefore needs to make their comment or ask their question in the chat function, then I would say that needs to be read in its entirety in order for the public to be made aware of the question or the comment exactly as it was articulated by the person who the writer who would have been a speaker.
Sure.
So,
So I can read it and then you'll ring in and then we'll answer. Is that good order?
Yeah, so that's what I would say, that you would need to then when you say information you share with yeah, read the question and then I can weigh in on.
So the question is from Ronnie Griffin. Nate, I would like to know who the contractor was on Precinct 3. And he said, of course, he doesn't mind the deep dive info. And I think so that's the end of Ronnie Griffin's question. So before Nate answers, I just want to make certain that the information we're sharing, we're staying in alignment with what's required and what's protected. I know Nate knows this, so I just don't know. And I want to know if we can give names or details or those kinds of things. So Genevieve, that's what I'm asking you to bring it on.
Has the contract for Precinct 3 been fully executed?
No, the contracts have been rejected and we're going to do a new procurement. So as far as procurement is done, under our ordinance, it's terminated and there is no need to impose a cone of silence or anything. So it should all be public information at this point.
Okay. And have you reposted the
Not yet.
Okay. So you would not, you are free to share information about the proposals, since all proposals were rejected, but since there'll be a new posting, you wouldn't want to talk about the details of that until it's actually published.
Okay, so it sounds like Nate, you like I said, you probably know. I just don't. I didn't. So sounds like you're gonna answer Ronnie's question. So he wants to know who the contractor was on Precinct 3.
You're on mute.
Okay, I'm sorry. The as-read low bidder for Precinct 3 was Hankins Construction. They were denied. The second as-read low bidder was Wright Construction. And the third as-read low bidder was Interface. Or was he? No, let me pull it up. K&S was the third low bidder, I believe, on Precinct 3, Mr. Griffin, but pull it up right here, right now. And precinct number 3, it was Hankins and Wright, and then KNS. Hankins, Wright, and KNS in that order. Interface was on police precinct number 1, and they were number 3 on precinct number 1. Order of that, precinct 1, Hankins, Wright, and Interface. Order for precinct number 3, Hankins, Wright, and KNS.
Awesome. So Ronnie wrote in the chat, thank you. And then Ronnie, if you had any other questions, definitely we will look to the chat to see. So thank you for that, Nate. Genevieve,
No problem.
Genevieve, did you have anything that you wanted to bring in on or share? I guess for the meeting.
Did I?
Uh-huh.
No. And just the only reason I am here today is I'm one of the managing attorneys in our office, and the attorney who is normally assigned to the Business Advisory Council is off today. So he will continue to attend your meetings, just in case anybody was wondering. It was just I'm sorry, I might have misspoken. I can't remember if I can't recall if he had a conflict or if he was off, but he will continue to attend your meetings. I'm just covering for him today.
Well, you're still
Awesome.
invited, no?
As is the public.
Absolutely. Ronnie, Michael, or Nguyen, did you guys have any questions that we could go over, or thoughts that we could go over about what's going on in the MWBE world with St. Louis County?
Oh, yeah, I do have, this is Mike Newton. I do have a quick question. And I agree with Ronnie. I'd really like that Nate's deep dive information. Yeah, we dwell on stuff like that. So it's, I'm glad to hear it. So, but I do have a question about the combined St. Louis County, St. Louis City disparity study for next year. Is that going to include the disparity study of enterprise, business side, and boots on the ground, or the workforce numbers? Or is that something else that the county is going to do later when it comes to workforce?
So I can tell you a little about that.
Yeah.
The primary emphasis is business enterprise, right? The city wanted to include workforce, and so it's going to be 2 phases. As of right now, what we're doing is we're doing the study together, but they'll have a contract and we'll have a contract. So we do have language in there about the workforce, but the primary look is at the enterprise, because the gist of that is that's what gives us the authority to have the MWB program in the first place. So that, and that was required by ordinance. We're, like Vita mentioned, we're overdue on that. But there are going to be 2 phases. The workforce will be, for us, it's going to be more like the second phase.
Okay.
That's a good question, Mike. And a lot of people have asked that in wondering when we would come back and make certain to get the workforce piece. So just know that that's happening.
And I guess lastly, I'll ask a question that has come to me a couple times from different contractors or general contractors that, these are mainly just white male owned, the traditional company, white male owned company, but they wanted to know if okay, of course they didn't qualify for the MBWB number, but if they had a large number of minority workers, could they then get some sort of special consideration if they had 25, 30, 40% of their workforce? Not necessarily take the place of a minority owner or company, but if it, for instance, if they could not find a minority-owned company, could the workforce number, be like a second level?
So under the current ordinance, what they're required to do is comply with the terms of the ordinance. The current ordinance for both the city and the county doesn't take that into consideration. Okay, that's part of the workforce, but it's not part of the enterprise itself, right?
Right.
So under the current ordinance, the answer would be no. Now, if the ordinance is modified in some way in the future, I mean, that's a different story. But as it is written right now, it wouldn't count.
So they just have to just count on, they would be able to compete only on that workforce number, and there's nothing they could do for the ownership number.
The ownership is defined. It's defined in the ordinances, owned 51% or more by an M or a W. So it's defined within the ordinance, and that, I believe, because it comports with what I'm familiar with from federal rules, I believe that was taken pretty much directly from the federal definition of a DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise.
Okay.
To MWBE. So it's written in as 51% ownership.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I told them, but I promised I'd ask that question, and I told them I appreciate them doing the workforce numbers, but that wouldn't help them here.
Yeah, it won't help. It won't help with the enterprise ownership or definition.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mike. I think another thing that bears us discussing is I've talked personally to a number of minority businesses that say that they don't even bid on business with St. Louis County. Nguyen, I was sitting here trying to even think of the gentleman I had a great conversation with. I want to say Peter. I really think it's Peter. And he said he's never bid on anything from St. Louis County. And so when we're sending out information on RFPs that are now open, I think the biggest thing we're looking from not the biggest thing, but one of the things we're looking from you guys is to ring in and help us to be able to think outside of the box on how to make certain we're getting this information to all lines. If there are various newspapers, radio stations, if there are outlets that we need to be looking into to make certain that the word is getting out, then you guys help us with that, because we by all means want to make sure that any company that is able to work via the Nexus codes on anything that we have coming up, we want them to know what's going on so that they can come in and bid for it. And we're looking to just kind of make certain that our outreach is what it is so that people feel comfortable enough to do so. I've heard all kinds of things in the past, we've not gotten notices, or in the past we've been looked over. And so we're just trying to do our part to make sure that we have as much opportunity to connect MWBEs with Primes for Business. Do you guys have any? Yeah, go ahead.
If I don't want to interrupt, but thank you for saying that. That is problem number one. It's the biggest issue, and that's what I want this disparity study to address. I mean, the fact that you look out and you say there's so many companies that are this and so many that are that, therefore these should be your percentage goals. To me, that's BS. It doesn't work. The fact is, we get very few bids on most of our jobs anyway, okay, for minority or non-minority. So what we need to do is we need to increase participation. And if in fact there's a way we can reach more vendors, minority and non-minority, we need to do that. Otherwise, it's always the same old, over and over. You're getting the same group of vendors. Happens with everything. And it's not only in construction. It's with every other job. I know there's suppliers of goods and commodities out there that they're minority firms. They're totally capable of providing them. They're not bidding. So we can't award to somebody who doesn't play in the game. So if there's any ideas any of you guys have, I've been trying to collect information from people. We record everybody who looks at our bids and solicitations. So what I've been having staff do for the last couple months is contacting all the people who looked and didn't bid and asking them, get on the phone with them, talk to them, find out why they didn't bid, what's the issue. But beyond that, what Vita pointed out is even bigger. There are people who don't even look. So if there's any way you guys have to do some outreach or help us do outreach, tell us what we can get into. That's great. That's part of what Nate and Gina are doing with these, meet and greets and things like that. But we need to do more than that. And it's to the benefit of the county as a whole. I mean, more competition is a good thing. If you only have two people competing for stuff all the time, I mean, they know one of them is going to get it and they're never going to give you the best prices or even the best service.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And I think that's it's an absolutely a good call out, and that's part of our role and responsibility to help provide that. So I think that's fair. I can tell you one of the things that that I have heard, not specifically lately, but just this is more of a in general, so it's a little bit more anecdotal, is there are a lot of companies that have probably been around for a while that for one reason or another seem to dismiss government contracts in general, which is, hey, if you guys ever tried to look into this, and what we hear sometimes is, or what I hear sometimes is, government contracts are kind of a pain. They're low price and they're just kind of a pain, and I don't want to get into that. So I think part of our job is on both sides to connect, like wait, don't just summarily dismiss it because it's government, and it's got all the stigmas, but there is opportunity there, and to me, business is business. And so I think that's a lot of the educational part on, that we have to try to, we as committee members and board members have to kind of help bridge and say, no, let's everybody kind of leave those I say stereotypes and those kind of views, and let's look at things now. And there's a lot of opportunities. So
you are 100% right. I grew up in this business. I have a brother right now who is an electrical contractor. He will not do anything for government. Just not going to happen. Even no matter how much you beg him, he does not want to do a government contract. I have a cousin. He has made a lot of money only doing government contracts. And he's one of those, few who gets the same one all the time, because he'll go out and he'll go after him. He's not doing any favors. I mean, he's charging, but he's figured it out, and that's what he does. So you're 100% right.
And I'll tell you, this is one of the things that I've used at my business. So this is extremely personal. Is we do the shredding for the city of St. Louis, and as a small business, one of the things that we look to do is, quote unquote, legitimize ourselves when we go in and bid against large companies and we have been able to very successfully use the work that we do for government contracts, because it automatically legitimizes you if you're doing big contracts. We have a couple federal contracts and stuff, and as soon as you say, oh, then I guess you're not this kind of unknown small company that's one of 10,000. Like I said, it gives you some legitimacy. So that's one of the things that I try to push is, there is a marketing and a advertising sort of component to doing this kind of work. And I stand up and I'm very proud of the work that I do for the government and government contracts. So, but I think your point is well taken on the, we need to, and I need to help connect some of the people who have the old school view of, I've been cruising along for this long. Why would I kind of get into the government stuff?
Understanding and all of that. And I want to read Ronnie's statement again so it can be recorded, but then I want to come back to that. So Ronnie put in there, he said he may be able to supply a list of MBE and WMBE contractors, and he asked what we'd like for him to do. So my response, absolutely. And then we'll make certain to reach out to them and invite them to every opportunity just so that they can be aware, like the discussion we're having. One of the things that Nate and I will be doing
with contact information.
So yeah, adding to that.
Yeah.
So I think I just assumed, but yes. So thank you for that, Greg. So yes, with contact information. One of the things that Nate and I will be doing for 2022 also is we've been working on our list to go around to the various municipalities just to meet with the mayors and the city managers to talk through what contracts that they have. Oftentimes we get a lot of pushback because people in the community think that when they see any type of building or street work happening anywhere and around St. Louis County, they think that that is St. Louis County work. And so they're not clear on work that belongs to the municipality versus the work that actually belongs to St. Louis County. And so our outreach efforts are just to go meet with them and just talk through, letting them know what we're doing for outreach for our MWBEs, and then seeing if they have, quite naturally, we can't require any of the municipalities to have or follow the guidelines that we follow, but we want to make them aware of the work that we're doing and see how we may open up some possible opportunities for the MWBEs that we're aware of to then get some of the work in those other areas as well. So my ask of you guys, if you have any close relationships that you want to maybe either go with us as a member of the BAC or make those introductions, you feel free to do so, because that would also be another way that we can try to help the women-owned or minority-owned businesses in and around the St. Louis area make certain that they have the steady work that they're looking to have so that they can continue to grow their business. Any thoughts? Nguyen, I thought you were getting ready to say something. That's why I asked.
I am. I should say, I you know, a lot is going through my head, and this may address it, or it may be a little bit off, so you can
it's okay.
throw something at me through the screen. But you know, I can tell you one of the struggles that we've had in our community is really a step before what we're talking about now, which is how do we even get our businesses to become certified? We had a seminar and a kind of a training session. This has got to be 2 years ago, maybe even now more than that, on helping businesses get the certification through the airport. And it was very poorly attended, and the feedback that I heard even was, you know, it's a lot of work to even do that. So, you know, before, what we've been trying to say is, before I can even convince people to start looking on the county website, I got to convince them to get certified. So they have that advantage. So that's kind of and that's what my head is spinning. It's like, but we need to do that first step before we can even say, now that you're certified, make sure you're going on here. And that's been our challenge, which is it's a lot of work for, you know, businesses to do. And then they don't, you know, then they say, well, I'm going to do all this work, then where's my pool after that?
Yeah, I want to say this, and Nate, I see your hand, but it's so funny when you bring this up, because I literally had a conversation really similar to this weekend from a chamber perspective. And we were looking at how can we even get chamber leaders to come together in kind of a PR push to just kind of get our businesses that are members to do some things that we know would be advantageous for them to be able to help grow. And so literally this weekend, I was jotting down some notes about getting into, well, I know you're not in the space anymore. I think are you still in the space with the Asian Chamber?
I'm still on the board. Yeah. My term as president expired, but.
Okay. So yeah, how to bring leadership together for us to do something like that. And that's a conversation that we'll definitely look to have as well. Ronnie put in the notes, he already emailed me the list. And so I'll share that list with the MWBE team as soon as we get off this meeting. I'm so sorry, Nate. I just was thinking that it was so interesting that that's the question that Nguyen asked, because I literally had that conversation this weekend. So Nate, you were saying, so to restate, how do we get the businesses to get certified? Your thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing, Nguyen, is that, and we have to make sure that people that really want to be in business, they shouldn't have a problem with the certification process. It's really not that cumbersome if in fact you want to be in business. A lot of companies, people, they'll say, yeah, I want to be in business, but they really don't want to do the work. And you can get certified. You don't have to have a 500-page corporate document that Greg Tater put together for you. You don't need that. You know, your social to get started, and as you grow, and we would always tell the business owners and we would assist them with your Social Security. You're not doing that much business. Start out as an LLC. You get that put together. You know, there are 8 places around that will help you do that. Very little. P-Tax will help you, and it's not that cumbersome. Now, the biggest problem you're going to have is waiting right about now, because it's taking probably 6 months with COVID. There aren't many federal government have stopped doing in-person on-site visits. So it's not that cumbersome. It's just that you have to be willing and wanting to do the paperwork. You can probably, if you've been in business, or if you've just started your business, you can probably complete a cert app probably 8 to 10 hours if you have all your documents. You have a bank signature card, you have a bank account, you have your legal structure for your company. You can be a sole proprietorship, LLC, partnership, any of that, corporation, and it doesn't take long. The biggest problem is going to be waiting. The advantages for most MWs and Ds is the fact that you have an opportunity where on private work, quasi-government work, just like Ms. Vita said, some municipalities don't even have a DBE, MWBE program. So that gives you an opportunity to try to grow your business, but you have to be willing to start doing it, and that's where it starts. And I know I don't want to sound crazy on this, but I'm 63 years old. My dad started his business with a rented lawnmower, and I tell this story all the time, with a rented lawnmower in the trunk of his car. So. And he went on to become one of the bigger minority contractors and construction concerns in the city. So, I mean, you just have to want it. He was determined. I was 3 years old, my mama told me. So you got to want to do it. Now, if you don't want to put in the work now and when, we don't have no answer for that. But you got to be willing to put in the work to start. And this is the best way to do it. I mean, if you want to do it. Because there's not a ton of opportunities. There's some people that have gotten to the private sector, but there just aren't a lot of, I want to say opportunity, just not a lot. There's not as much volume on the public sector as it relates to MWs.
Nguyen, I gotta say, I was at a meeting a couple of years back when the NGA was first being rolled out, and this meeting that I had, or introduction that I got, always sticks with me. I met a man who said that he put all of his children through college based on a contract that he got with NGA, and then now he's working on his grandchildren. And it goes back to, like Greg saying, that oftentimes, because there's not a lot of competition in the contracts for whatever reason, the same old companies definitely are getting contracts and they're doing fine. And so we do have to, you know, I hear Nate talking about his dad. Nate, I think that was a dying breed because, you know, it just seems like our parents and our grandparents were made of something different than the generations are coming along now. That's a sidebar that I'm throwing in there, but there just seems to
doubt.
be a difference in those generations and the thinking that came. But nonetheless, there are some business owners today that are absolutely interested in getting the work and doing the work, and we've just got to be able to make certain on our side we do the part of outreach to make sure that we meet them. So
Yep, that's fair.
okay, any other discussion? I don't see that we have any other visitors to hear from. I think the discussion has been, you know, solely with us, and I am not one that wants to steal your time just for stealing your time's sake. The agenda shows that the 2022 meetings are for March 14th, June 12th, September 12th, and December 12th. 2 of those meetings will be public meetings. The other 2 will be closed meetings just for us. Again, the information that I send out, and we'll make sure for 2022 just to keep you updated as things would be on the agenda for the St. Louis County Council. If there's something that's going before the council, I'll make sure that you guys have that ahead of time so that you can look over it and see if you have any thoughts. And we'll make sure that if any new announcements, as with, for example, the RFP comes out, we'll make sure that you guys have that information ahead of time also. And are there any requests that you guys want to make of the MWBE team?
Oh, yeah, this is Mike Newton. I would just like to make a statement. And normally I deal mostly with the St. Louis City politics and situations in the city, but I just really want to compliment the work being done in the county. I know with the COVID issue, the mask issue, there's a lot of negative attention being thrown on the county. But just on my side of the fence, I would really just like to thank you for what you are all doing, putting the issue in the forefront. Letting the minority-owned and female-owned companies know that they matter and that there actually is enforcement, and I think that's really the most important thing. I would say is in the city there's a big lack of enforcement on these issues when it comes to enterprise and boots on the ground numbers, unless it's a large job like NGA or the soccer stadium. But I just really appreciate the work that you're doing, and I really look forward to what we can do, what more we can do in 22.
Thank you for saying that, Mike. I'm so glad we got that recorded. No.
Oh yeah.
But here's what I will speak to on that, Mike. I think that great leadership comes from the top down, and I think Dr. Page is doing a phenomenal job in showing that this is something that matters, and he has made it clear. And his leadership team, from the legal counsel to Greg, who's the director of procurement, to Stephanie in her dual roles Stephanie Streeter in her dual roles that she plays with the county. I think that we have a wonderful team that's all working together. To all of their credit, Nate and his leadership, Gina and the leadership that she has taken for the team, I think that we have a great team together. And so hopefully 2022 will show us to continue to work at this pace and be as astute and responsible, and you'll see us to continue and grow. And also, even for you guys showing up, I know that it's a heavy lift because you guys are leaders in every aspect of the way, and so I know that you all have a lot of responsibility. So I am thankful that you show up when you do, and that you are continuing to offer your thoughts on how might we continue to grow better where things are concerned. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for being here as well. If there are no other thoughts, I bid all of you all a wonderful holiday season. Coming into a new year, hopefully 2022 will start off great for you all. And I'm looking forward to continuing to share time with you. So thank you again for being here, and we'll see one another soon.
All right. Thank you all. Hope you have a
Yeah.
great holiday season.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Holidays. Thank you.
Bye-bye.